to the second half of today's Gone Outdoors. Kyle Agri and Scott Brewer of Brewer Agri Outdoors, talking hunting, talking fishing, and talking anything you can do outdoors here on Kello News Talk and KWSN in Sioux Falls and the mighty 790 KFGO Fargo. We're excited to welcome a new guest to the program. We have with us today Mr. Dan Cole. He is a writer for North American Whitetail Magazine, and I tell you what, even bigger than that, this guy is a walking encyclopedia and a fanatic when it comes to trophy and record book whitetails. I am just really excited to hear what he has to say. Dan, welcome to Gone Outdoors.
Wow, I hope I can follow that up with some good insight. Thank you for the introduction.
Well, I know you can. I've been following you on social media, and I've just find so much interest in reading the insight and kind of some of the backstory on some of these big bucks and even some of the big antlers that are sold and traded. I think that's one of the things that kind of caught my attention a few months back. But Dan, what I want to do is just for this segment today is just talk a little bit about, we're in the midst of the gun season. And I think a lot of us recognize that, shooting a deer is one thing, but shooting a trophy buck, when we're talking a big caliber buck here, an old mature buck, that's a challenge in and of itself. And I want to just pick your brain and get some of your insight in terms of what happens to a buck as they age that makes them so hard to hunt.
Well, if you watch a bunch of 2 and 3 year olds, you see that this time of the year they chase and pursue pretty hard. If you know there's a 4-year-old out there, you'll notice that he's a little more secluded. He doesn't show as often. He doesn't chase as hard. He doesn't probably need to. But then again, that's usually a pretty good deer, a 4-year-old. But once they turn 5, their whole physiology changes. They get bigger. They start moving later in the daytime. They're more apt to disappear for longer periods of times. If they don't disappear for good, just completely move out of their territory. And that's the biggest challenge, is those bigger, older deer, they don't really start pursuing the does until later in the rut, after all the other bucks have started running. And a lot of those deer get moved out of they get taken out of the picture because of their visibility. And those old deer, they seem to know that. And there's many, many cases where these bucks, they follow them till they turn 5, and then once they're 5, they just disappear for some reason.
Hey, Dan.
Whether they're dying as 4-year-olds over the winters, yes.
I got a real quick question for you. So when you talk about 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, a 5-year-old deer is probably as big as most of us will ever see or ever shoot. How old are some of these record book bucks? How old are they truly?
Well, in the upper Midwest here into the Dakotas, a lot of these deer are going to look really, really good as 4-year-olds if they have the right genetics and they have some good protein feed around them, which isn't hard to find in this part of the country. But they just have to live long enough. If they can get the age, they may surprise you. We have great genetics to the Dakotas and Minnesota, and it may not show up in those younger bucks, but when they get old enough, if they get old enough, you're really going to see that. And that's going to start really producing and showing at 4. By 5, you're going to know you're into something. But it's different in the wilderness, the big woods. They probably need a year or 2 more to bring those better sets of antlers out. We've shot many deer in Saskatchewan that were 8 and 9 years old that just had their best antlers at that point.
Wow, that's impressive to even think about a deer making it that long, especially, up in Canada where the weather conditions and climate are pretty harsh. Hey, Dan, you brought up a point of if the deer has the opportunity to show those genetics and get old enough, with all of the technology, trail cameras and just topography maps and just everything that's out there. Just looking at your insight now, do you think it's getting harder to hunt and find bigger bucks? Do you think that more of them are taken out earlier?
I think because of the cell camera use that's getting so popular, I believe that a lot of those bucks are getting the chance to reach potential. But it also can eliminate a lot of bucks because some people may misjudge them as not having the genetic quality that they would like to have. That's my opinion.
That is interesting. And that's really kind of the reverse of what I was thinking. And you're probably right. People identify a buck and they might pass or give it another year because they want to see it get that much bigger.
Exactly. And with the cell cameras that we didn't have, 30 years ago, we didn't have a picture to show to the entire hunting camp, to the entire hunting group. So now we can pass a photo around and say, this is the deer that we don't want shot. We're going to protect this one. And as a group of hunters, they're all going to work together to keep that deer protected if possible, just because of those photos. So it can really be a plus. And, on the other side of the coin, it can also be a negative. So.
Yeah, like so many things, right? It's how we use it and how we take the approach as hunters to see the big picture and the long-term approach.
Exactly.
We got just a couple minutes left in this segment here. It always goes by really quick, especially when we've got some interesting stuff like this. We've got people out there, they're into the second weekend of their gun season. If they're chasing a big buck, what's the tip you can give them, or a couple of tips to really up the odds in their game?
Head for the doe groups, and if that doesn't work, if you can't find them there, then you better head for the heaviest and thickest cover you can find. Every deer out there right now knows that something's coming. That is deer season. There's pressures on. There's more hunters just locally running around, driving around, putting pressure on the grounds. Those deer are heading for heavy cover, and that's where you have to look or get really in tight to the doe groups, wherever they're bedding at, and those bucks will eventually get there, hopefully in daylight hours.
Hey, I just one more quick question, Dan, and that is big bucks, older, mature bucks. I'm assuming they are more sensitive to that hunting pressure and will easily move away from any of that pressure if they feel it. Is that pretty accurate?
Absolutely. They're the first ones to go, and you can't pressure them. You can't pressure them at all. If you bump them, they're probably gone for good. So this time of the year is very careful. A lot of times you get one shot. You get one chance at the deer, and you got to make it good because there probably won't be a second opportunity.
It kind of makes sense. I'm kind of putting this all together in my mind. It seems like that there's a lot of people that shoot a very, very nice deer that they've never seen a trail camera, and it makes sense as to why right now.
Yep. And you also got to think that the majority of the big deer being taken are taken by hunters who are not hunting for big deer. They just come across them, and they end up with the trophy of a lifetime because of it. A lot of guys who are pursuing, they can find those deer too, but they're usually looking at one specific deer, and they're going after it, whereas the average hunter hopes the right one comes along, and in some cases it happens.
Really, really interesting. Folks, we're talking with Dan Cole of North American Whitetail Magazine. Dan, if folks want to follow along with you and all of the interesting things you share, where can they do that?
You can find me on Facebook under my name, Dan Cole, Cole. I've got a AI-generated avatar of me riding the deer.
I love it. Dan, thanks for spending some time with us today.
You bet, gentlemen. I've been listening to your program for quite a while. It's an honor to be here. So
it's great.
Thank you very much.
Great having you, Dan. And folks, great having you with us. But don't go away. We're not done yet. We're going to take a break and be back with more Gone Outdoors.
Looking for somewhere to get all your fishing information in one place? onX Fish Midwest has something for you. Search for new fishing areas with filtering features such as species, abundance, trophy potential, lake survey info, regulations, and area insights are just a click away.
Getting to your target lake has never been easier with access points and public land ownership clearly marked on onX Fish. Mark and customize waypoints and weather for your exact location. Use code BA Outdoors to get 20% off onX Fish Midwest at onxmaps.com.